So here I am in the car after doing what I think is a very important install for these Audi direct injection engines, and that is a catch can system. Now, I was looking at installing catch cans since I bought the car and was researching how I would do it, but fortunately this year Radium Engineering came out with a kit that does exactly what I needed. So let's go to the garage and see how I install it.
Here I am opening the kit the day after it arrived. The kit comes with all the necessary AN fittings and hose adapters, the 2 metal catch cans needed, a custom bracket to mount the catch cans into the engine compartment, and all the necessary heater hose. Instructions were not pre-printed, but I was able to print them with the link that was provided. Radium recommended a couple AN-specific tools that I ended up ordering off Amazon. The first is a magnetic vise insert to hold AN fittings for inserting the tubes. The second is an adjustable AN wrench. Both turned out to not really be necessary if you're trying to save money, but I always like expanding my toolkit. The rear panel and left decorative engine panels need to be removed first. See my K&N filter video for more details, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Note that the right-hand panel will not need to be removed, though the instructions say to do so, and that's because I'm not going to remove the deck lid. It is now time to prep the catch cans for assembly. Using some threadlock glue, put a dab on one of the included screws and tighten with the appropriate Allen key. Do this for all 4 screws, tightening only to finger tight until all 4 are in place. Then fully tighten to seat the can. Repeat the same process again for the second can to complete the bracket assembly. With the can secure on the bracket, it is time to get the bungs installed on the cans. Dab your finger into clean oil, lube the O-ring a bit, and install finger tight into the can. Repeat this for both cans. Once both are in place, you can fully tighten with a wrench. My lathe chuck wrench happens to be the exact size. The top 90-degree bungs also need to be installed. After screwing about a full turn, the bungs will hit the bracket and stop turning. However, at this point, a 7/32 Allen key can be used to tighten them down, holding the outlet in place to ensure the correct orientation. To install the catch can assembly into the car, the 2 outer left-hand rear hinge torque screws need to be removed. This requires the T45 Torx bit and swivel and normal extensions. With the Torx screw masking taped to the Torx bit and extension, I can use one hand to screw that in, while the other hand holds the bracket in place. With the screw halfway in place, I can remove the tape and then tighten it all the way before doing the same to the second screw. Somehow I lost the original footage, but the next step is to remove the middle 13mm bolt of the hinge shown here, replacing with the longer one provided in the kit. This allows using the supplied nut as the third anchor for the bracket. With the bracket fully installed, you can optionally replace the remaining hinge bolts with the new ones one at a time. This is optional for looks only, but if you decide to, make sure to only do one at a time if you didn't remove your hatch. After popping off the factory hose that attaches to the left-hand head, the special 90-degree 10AN fitting can be pushed into place. Then the green retaining clip can be positioned, and note that while the instructions show it upside down, I put it topside to facilitate an easier installation. With the clamp in place, the 2 set screws can be inserted and tightened by hand, using the Allen key to tighten them completely after. Now cut the 10AN hose, the one with the largest diameter, at 12 inches. I found that the best way to cut is shown here, using the second hand to ensure the blade keeps ratcheting, and ensuring the tube does not twist in relation to the cutter. That gives the cleanest, straightest cut. Once cut, insert the 10AN 90-degree fitting into the magnetic vise holders and jam the 12-inch tube into the bung. A little pre-lube of clean oil on the bung helps get it in. Then take the hose assembly and hand tighten the 90-degree fitting to the AN adapter coming out of the head, the one with the green clamp. Once you double check the hose will not be rubbing at this length with the 60-degree 10AN fitting, remove the tube and attach the 60-degree on the other end using the vise as shown before, and finally tighten it all back down by hand to ensure the hoses make a good fit. The second 10AN hose is similar. Pre-lube the 10AN straight fitting, push the hose in, and test fit the length with the 10AN adapter that gets plugged into the hose near the head of the car. Cut to length, install the other end in the vise out of the car, bring it all back, and tighten it all up by hand. And note, I did order an extra straight fitting off Amazon as I dropped one down into the void of my engine. I recommend putting a towel down in this area to prevent losing any 10AN fittings, as I did. Starting the install for the outer catch can, the first thing to do is to clip and pry off the factory clip of the right-hand PCV exit and remove it from the rubber intake hose. After installing the 8AN fitting to the end of the 8AN hose and temporarily securing it to the can, the hose then needs to be routed around the outside of the engine and under the left-hand air intake, then up to the right-hand air intake area. Note, I deviated here from the instructions, sanding down one end of the 90-degree plastic 8AN hose adapter from the kit so I could use a hose clamp. This is in case I want to swap the rubber throttle body hose to a silicone one in the future. I can now hand fit the unsanded side into the hose, and the sanded side goes into the rubber throttle body hose with a hose clamp. After attaching the 6AN fitting to the 6AN hose and loosely securing it to the can, the tube gets routed beside the 8AN hose up to the right-hand side throttle body intake, and after being cut to length, it plugs into the factory 90-degree connector that was originally inserted into the throttle body hose. And yes, I removed the throttle body intake here, but mainly to allow this process to be visible on camera, but also for leverage. And now you can see the final routing of all the hoses. The very last thing to do is tighten all the AN fittings fully. I found that in order to be able to get the wrench over each nut, I needed to remove all the hoses and then tighten the outer left AN bottom, the inner right 10AN bottom, the outer 6AN top, and finally the inner top 10AN. And after reinstalling the engine panels, it's time to close it up and ride.
So riding with the catch can kit installed now, there really isn't much difference, if any, that I can notice with it installed. But the peace of mind of having it is great. Now I know the engine's not going to get all the blow-by building up on the valves and the intake runners. So if you'd like to see these types of projects that I do on my Gallardo, or just me messing around with the car, well, then make sure to like and subscribe, and you'll see more content like this. And in the future, I'll go over how fast this thing fills up and how the kit is doing. So make sure to follow me also on Instagram, as I usually post those types of things quicker than I can get to on YouTube. And with that, thanks again, Godspeed, and I'll see you next time.